So I'm going to share my screen to talk about pitching and the importance of a good pitch, right? I'm not going to I'm going to try to not to be too boring. There are some things that are very technical about a good pitch, right? I'm leaving this Harvard Business Review article as well. I found it quite interesting. They talk about what makes a great pitch, because if you want your pitch to be, useful, it's not enough for it to be a good pitch. It has to be a memorable pitch. It has to generate, an impact on your listener. Otherwise, you're just talking. There's a difference between talking and pitching. So one of the learnings that I got from this article that I want to share with you is you need to be a master of the facts. If you're pitching, you need to be the one that knows all of the facts, or most of them, right, related to the idea that you want to share. If you want to talk about facts in your pitch, where do you start, right? That's one of the main challenges at the beginning. How do I begin my pitch? Well, I've been working for 10 years with a method to choose where to start and how to go through your pitch, which is called the NABC method. So the NABC method starts with the need. You want to engage your audience, but not from what you want to propose, not from your proposal. You want to start from those that have a problem that you want to solve with that proposal, right? So for example, let's talk about these facts. Entrepreneurs need a simple way to develop and share their ideas, period. That's a fact. In this part, you are not trying to get into a discussion, right? You're talking about things that are certain. Hopefully, you are quoting some recognized organization that has proved that, but sometimes you're talking about things that are common knowledge. Sharing and developing your ideas is not important. It's fundamental. So having a good pitch is not important. It's fundamental, right? It's hard to summarize a project. Also a fact, right? A project compiles a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of stories, a lot of concepts. So it's not easy to summarize. And then when too much information is handled, it's hard to keep it all in mind. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, right? We, as entrepreneurs, are so involved to the problem that we are addressing or the solution that we're developing, that sometimes it's hard for us to have a big picture. And then ideas must be transmittable in one sentence, but also in a 15-minute speech. This method, the NABC method, is approaching this need. Entrepreneurs need to present and improve their value propositions. And we are moving out of the idea concept. We have a value proposition that we want to transmit or communicate in a simple and scalable manner. Also a fact, the Stanford Research Institute is one of the worldwide leading advisory or consultancy organizations. They have been involved in things that we use every day, just like the internet, for example, telephones, maybe CE. You've heard about these inventions. All of these products or services began with an NABC method. So what is NABC? NABC is a 4-stage iterative process that allows you to develop your idea and also communicate it. So like I said, you start from the need, the problem you're addressing. You give out facts about that problem, about that need, but also about the people who have that need. Problems and needs are not floating around. Problems and needs are owned, if you want, by people. There's people behind those needs. So you are talking about those people. So you start with an important customer market need or a problem in society. Then you move on to your approach, your unique approach. Also, you talk about the benefits that you generate with your approach. And finally, you compare your solution with the competition. So this is an iterative process, just like a fractal, just like in nature. That is why this methodology works so well because it's very similar how nature works in an iterative process. Every time you go around NABC, you make a little improvement. So another example, I work as a business consultant. I've been working with hundreds of startups. Here are two examples that I'm working with nowadays. And here's a fact. The number one reason why a startup fail is mismanagement. Here, I don't even need a quotation. But then another fact, in Chile, small and medium companies are 98% of the country's companies. So almost all companies in Chile are small and medium, and they generate more than 60% of formal jobs. This is a fact, and I'm using a quotation. Take a look at this, because this is a key aspect of every pitch, right? You might be an expert on your topic, but your audience might not know you. So you need to use quotations when you're talking about facts related to the problem you're addressing. Like, for example, this fact, I got it from the Chilean Congress. And then another example, 50% of primary school students don't understand what they read after they finish school. This comes from a very known survey, which is called PISA, from last year. And also a known fact is that most rural schools don't have access to internet. So you look at this and you are not clear about what is this startup, but you do know there is a problem. There's a huge, urgent problem. These are two problems, actually. I'm giving you as an example. The second thing that I got from the article I'm talking about is about passion. It's very trendy to talk about how important the passion is, that you need to be passionate, that you need to be transmitting that passion when you're pitching. That is true. There has to be passion in your pitch, but not about your idea. The passion must be about the problem, not about your solution. When you're pitching, you want to show that you know there is a problem, you know how big it is, and you're giving facts and numbers for the listener to understand how big the problem is and how relevant it is to solve. That is more important than your solution. The same happens with your customer. If you're talking about the company, customers are the most important thing. They are more important than the product. And then again, the need is more important than your approach. But let's move into the approach. So ERPyme is a business management tool for small and medium companies created by a small company. We have more than 6,000 users, and 2/3 of them use this application for free, because that is our business model. And we got acquired recently by Maxa for $4 million. All of those are facts, and now I'm giving you the way that I'm going to address the problem that I described in the first step, right? So most small companies don't have access to this kind of solutions, this kind of software. We offer it for free. And then on Akami Kids, we have more than 500 interactive contents. We are the first Chilean company to get Kids Safe certified, an international certification that certifies that the solution is suitable for kids. And we also work both offline and online. So I start with the problem, and then when that is clear, I move to the solution. So again, the NABC approach is also iterative. It's also a process that you go into cycles. So in a sentence, that is a method based on an iterative process designed for creating and sharing value propositions through a common language, easy to implement. You see? So the logical thing to do is to first focus on what matters most to those that you are trying to help. In this case, I recommend to use the design thinking methodology, and I'm leaving a link here so you can figure out what is this and how it will help you. And again, on the design thinking process, you start empathizing. Again, you go first to the need, and then you move on into the solution. So then, after you've done the need and the approach, you're clear about the problem and the solution, just now you move into the benefits that your idea generates, okay? And now you're very explicit about the benefits that you generate. You specifically say Who are you benefiting for in this case? The NABC method has benefits for the presenter, myself, and also for the listener. For example, for me, it's much easier to remember because there is a senseful structure in my pitch. So I remember, okay, I'm done with the needs. What comes now? Oh, okay, approach. After approach, what comes now? Benefits, right? It can be iterated into a full project. You can use this methodology to generate a one-sentence pitch, but also to create a 50 pages business plan, if you want. It also adds an urgency feeling. Since you started talking about the problem, you're leaving the audience with the eager to know what the solution will be. If you start talking about the solution, you will lose attention. And for the listener, it's easy to grasp. The idea is easier to grasp when it has a structure and it clears the relevance of the problem. Another phrase that I like to share, it was Mark Twain who said, "Dear sister, I'm writing a long letter to you because I don't have time to write a short one." So summarizing is not easy. It takes time. So do take that time to summarize what you want to share. And finally, the competition. What am I competing against, or what are the alternatives that are already there? Yeah, sure, you can use a business plan. But in this stage, when you're ideating, right, when you're creating your solution, making a business plan is like shooting your own foot. It's too bulky. You don't need that much information. At this stage, you just want to validate your idea. There are other methodologies. I'm not going to get deep into this. There are some other alternatives you can use. You've probably heard about the business model canvas as well. It can help you to give structure to your pitch. But here, I'm showing you why NABC is better than these other alternatives, right? Because with NABC, you can partially validate your idea. Every time you pitch, you get validation. It can be comprehensive. You can choose how long you want to make your pitch, your NABC. It's shrinkable and expandable. You can do a one-sentence NABC pitch, or, like I said, a full lecture, 1 hour lecture if you want. It helps you memorize. It can be iterated and also gives structure to your pitch. So in summary, NABC, the need, your approach, which benefits does it generate, and what is the competition. And finally, number 3 from this article I'm talking about, of course, I'm mixing it up with my own experience. Listening is more important than responding. After you pitch, you don't want to defend your ideas, right? You want to respond concisely. If your audience asks you a question, try to be as short as possible, because after pitching comes what is important: learning, listening to your audience and feel what the impression was. Did they understand? If they didn't understand, why they didn't understand? How can you make it better? Ask questions. You don't want to defend yourself. A pitch is not necessarily to be meant to convince people. You just want to draw attention and get feedback. Take notes. Try to record yourself. Try to record as well the feedback you get. Don't try to validate or invalidate anything that they tell you right after your pitching or during your pitching. Do it afterwards. A bonus track. Be confident. You are obviously the one that knows more about your project, but do not be overconfident. Like I said, the purpose of a pitch is to generate interest and get feedback. It's not to convince everyone about what you're saying is right. It's all the opposite. You want to learn what is wrong or what can be improved. Infographics are better than images, and images are much better than text. So this is some of kind of the proportion you should have in your presentation. Less is more. Smile and sing. It's very different if you talk like this when you're presenting than if you do it like this. No one will even understand if you do it like that, right? And finally, practice. Practice. Do it in front of a mirror, do it on a video recording, try to pitch to your friends and see what the feedback you get.